not protect everyone equally, but only certain oppressed minorities. Not everyone who works there subscribes to these views, but nearly everyone who manages the place now does. As a result, the Civil Rights Division has squandered its moral authority. Having initially been infused with the spirit of the original civil rights movement and its emphasis on racial equality and color blindness, the division is now home to the rotted industry of racial grievance. Eric Holder clearly had big plans for the Civil Rights Division from the beginning of his tenure. At his confirmation hearings in January 2009, he called the division the crown jewel of the Justice Department, adding that he wanted to become Attorney General in part to restore the division's great traditions that had supposedly eroded during the Bush administration. Yet Holder's term has been marked by racially discriminatory law enforcement, politicized and ideological hiring, court-imposed sanctions on DOJ lawyers, and corrupt decisions to allow American voter rolls to overflow with deceased citizens and ineligible felons. As shown by the still murky details of Operation Fast and Furious, a secret operation run by the DOJ's Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms that deliberately allowed guns to flow to Mexican drug cartels. The DOJ is experiencing serious problems under Holder's leadership. Nevertheless, other DOJ divisions, by and large, don't suffer from the same toxic mix of employee malfeasance and racial bias that infects the Civil Rights Division. When I worked there, attorneys from other divisions would describe their competent, professionally run agencies and then ask me if my division was really as bad as its reputation. The answer was yes, and then some. As this book will show, the Civil Rights Division can best be described as a soap opera within a cabal surrounded by a racialist culture of dysfunction. The DOJ's dismissal of the new Black Panther voter intimidation case, a case I brought and ultimately resigned over, gave the public a glimpse of the racially discriminatory worldview that characterizes this influential government agency. But the publicity surrounding that case was unusual. Until now, no one has fully conveyed to the American public exactly how deep the rot goes in the Civil Rights Division, and the many disgraceful scandals that have unfolded behind its closed doors. People from outside the DOJ typically react in stunned disbelief when I explain the sheer unprofessionalism I saw there. The Obama administration promotes government lawyers who are subject to hundreds of thousands of dollars in court sanctions? You must be kidding, they tell me. Nearly 1,000 employees from the nation's premier federal law enforcement agency get the day off for a retreat where employees perform juvenile skits? Impossible, they figure. A workplace where people openly protest arriving to work on time? Inconceivable. A government agency opposed to Christmas? No way. Take picnics. Most Americans probably have fond memories of picnics on sunny summer days. It is a common, wholesome tradition, as American as July 4th fireworks, Thanksgiving football, and Memorial Day parades. But don't mention picnics around Attorney Charla Jackson of the Civil Rights Division's Housing and Civil Enforcement section. She doesn't want to hear the word, because she believes it is racist. The word picnic, you see, is derived from an event familiar to white Americans, or so Jackson believes. Around a century ago, large numbers of white folks would supposedly gather at a park, almost always in a small southern town. They brought lemonade, tablecloths, ham sandwiches, cold chicken, potato salad, and an important item in this alternative universe, lynching rope. After a few servings of slaw topped off with a piece of cherry pie, the white folks with full bellies would get a hankering to go find, or in this case, pick some not-so-white folks at random, presumably those within easy reach. Hence the pick part of picnic. The "ni" gives you a good sense where the second part of the word supposedly comes from. Once the victim was selected, he would be promptly dispatched with the lynching rope as the picnickers